Hi. Welcome to the second episode of Wow, but How? In terms of territory, China is the world's third biggest country, and has the world's largest population. Home to one of the oldest civilizations, it has developed to become the second largest economy in the world at record speed, but also holds a record of being an aggressor in the South China Sea. In this episode, we will take a closer look at the three main reasons China tries to control South China Sea. The South China Sea is one of the most important economic and environmental regions in the world. It is bordered by Brunei, Cambodia, China, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. More than half of the world's fishing vessels are in the South China Sea. Millions of people depend on these waters for their food and livelihoods. But then came the problem. Beijing claims roughly 90% of the sea, which encompasses an area of around 3.5 million square kilometers or 1.4 million square miles. But why does China want to take control of this disputed ocean region so bad? According to experts, the main motive for the militarization of the region is China's security. Beijing tries to take control of South China Sea for these specific reasons. First, the South China Sea plays an important role for the strategic patrol of Chinese nuclear ballistic missile submarine. China considers the United States as its biggest rival, and it needs an easy entrance to the West Pacific Ocean so it can defend itself against any action from the United States. The US called China's militarization and territorial expansion in the region as illegal and dangerous. To downplay this, China tries to control the waters by using fishing vessels that are part of the Chinese maritime militia, Coast Guard ships, and naval vessels to harass other countries' boats and deny access to this key area. In fact, China has a long record of harassment through pumping water to Filipino fishing boats. Ordering commercial vessels to change routes.
Laura,
please inform your destination.
we're going to China.
Please set your course to 0 degrees and sailing for 10 nautical miles and then you can.
Why should I alter to my course? Chinese warship. May I know why I should alter my course 10 miles from Scarborough Shoal? Is there a Chinese territory? So you mean this is a Chinese? I think this is a Philippines water. This is Scarborough. It's not a Chinese.
And the latest, pointing military-grade laser to the Philippine Coast Guard ship. Second, the South China Sea will serve as a buffer zone should the worst happen, and the US conducts military attack against mainland China. As two of the world's top militaries, the United States and China regularly accuse each other of engaging in destabilizing actions in South China Sea. With its long-standing claim over Taiwan, Beijing usually calls any US military presence along the Taiwan Strait as threat to its sovereignty. The United States would often counter these accusations with the claim over freedom of navigation. The US is also confident other countries that have territorial disputes in the South China Sea support such freedom of navigation operations. The thing is, China takes a more friendly approach with the US compared to that of the Philippines or other countries.
Military aircraft, Papa 8 Alpha. This is Chinese Reef. China has the sovereignty of the national islands including Reef and its adjacent waters. Leave immediately and keep far off so as to avoid any misunderstanding.
Philippine military aircraft, I'm warning you again. Leave immediately, or you will bear responsibility for all the consequences.
Third, China needs massive sea routes for its maritime transportation. It is the leading maritime importer for the United States, accounting for 42% of all goods shipped to the US. It is also the top exporter of goods that ranges from textiles to plastics to metals, all over the world. So, having control over the South China Sea would work on their favor as at least a third of the global maritime trade passes through here. The South China Sea also has a huge oil and natural gas reserves that lie beneath its seabed. Plus, it is a major fishing ground that plays a crucial part in food security in the region. China recognizes the South China Sea problem but cannot set aside bilateral rivalry with the US. Beijing is consumed with the thought that the US and its allies will contain them from the region, the Pacific Ocean, and the Indian Ocean. To counter China's expanding influence in the Asia-Pacific region, the US has also brought Australia, Japan, and India together. They formed the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, which is an informal strategic forum where they exchange information and conduct military drills between members. This has seemed to anger China, which in return had harassed Australian Air Force. In 2016, after a 3-year court battle, the Philippines won its case at the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague, which ruled against Chinese claims to rights in the South China Sea. The court said China's 9-line and claims of historic rights in the South China Sea were without legal foundation. However, Beijing chose to ignore the order and still demarcate its claims. The Philippines, under its new presidency, has decided to agree on the expansion of U.S. military bases in its territory. Soon, there will be a total of 9 U.S. military bases in the Philippines. The northernmost point of the archipelago is only a few kilometers off the coast of Taiwan. The U.S. in return has reassured the Philippines that any kind of military action from China will be countered together as guaranteed by the Mutual Defense Agreement between the two countries. Whether this strategy from the US will work, we can only hope for the best. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like or share button. Feel free to subscribe so I can continue making videos like this one. Thank you, and I cannot wait to see you again soon for the next episode of Wow, But How?